How long have you been doing this?
24 years. I'm a graduate of Berklee College of Music. I have a music production engineering degree.
Okay.
After I got out of Berklee, I went to work at Sigma as an engineer and got a chance to work with some great people down there. I worked with a really good engineer. I started out as his assistant. I got to work with artists like Patti LaBelle, Levert, DOJ, Stephanie Mills, Teddy Pendergrass. It was like the who's who of R&B would come in and out of Sigma. So you get on those sessions, you get to work with those engineers, those producers. You get to learn a lot of things. To really get in the studio with real sessions, big-time clients, that's when you really get to see how the business works. And that's where you learn your chops as far as, engineering, the little tricks,
Okay.
and things like that.
Yeah. So, since you've been doing your home type of thing, what's the difference working out of being at home and Sigma Sound?
The great thing is to be able to work anytime you want to work. That's the flexibility is the best thing. And the main reason I put the studio here is to do outside projects with people, but also local bands. I have 3 bands signed. The first album will probably be coming out within the month, within about 3 to 4 weeks. I have one more song to do, and then that's a rock band called The Fallen. I have a girl named Audra McLaughlin signed. She's won a couple talent contests in Delaware County.
Oh.
She's 16 years old and sings like she's been singing for about 20 years.
Wow.
Phenomenal voice. Then I have another girl, Michelle Clifford, who's slightly older, does like country music, does like that Shania Twain.
Okay.
So basically what I did is I built a little network from the band, the rock band. The 2 guys in the band are very good songwriters. They can write in all genres. They can write in rock. They can write R&B. They can write pop. They can write country. So I have them generate music. They're writing their own material, and they're also writing material from other 2 artists. So we're building like a little network.
Okay.
And the way it's set up, it's a little different than the way standard record companies work. Used to be the way a record company works is you get a contract, they assign the job a producer, and they assign you a budget, $100,000 recording budget. What bands don't understand is when you go in the studio to record, that's when you're done. Basically, that clock's running. So they give you a budget of $100,000. It may take you $125,000 to do that album. You don't make penny one until the label recoups all their costs, all their expenses. So as your album sales start, they want to recoup the recording costs. They want to get their money back for advertising and promotion. So you could have a gold record and not see penny one, depending on how much they put into your album, which is a very common thing today, which is why you seen like a lot of the rap labels blew up. They're not paying the artist 25, 30 cents a record per sale. They're giving them a bigger chunk. And that's why the rap market, the game blew up, because the artist had a bigger share of the sale than he would through a major label. So that's why the small labels are booming. That's why a lot of artists will gravitate towards small labels, because the old time contracts, the way they're set up, you're almost set up to fail with a major label. I mean, a major label's only going to promote their biggest artists, and if your album comes out on that label and it doesn't do well, they'll shove you in a second.
Wow.
And you're gone.
So, where do you see yourself in like 5 years from now?
Hopefully on an island. but no, basically, no, just to have my own thing. My goal was to do, I started off this year, I'm going to do 3 bands. Next year I'll do 5 bands. The year after that I'll do 10 bands. So I want to have a piece of every band I work with, a small piece.
Okay.
Now, I'm opening a door that they can't get into. In other words, they come in to do an album. They can't come out of their pocket with $40,000 or $50,000 to do an album.
True.
So I'll put up for the recording costs, sort of like they call it working on spec. I'll put up for the recording costs. In return for trying to get, as far as getting them a deal label later, getting a piece of the deal, and getting a piece of any CD sales now. Basically, what we're going to do is each band's going to do CDs, and we'll sell CDs. And we actually have it broken down into a share where it's a 50-50 share with the band. So if they sell a CD for $10, they get $5, I get $5. So it's an equal split. It's not like a major label where they're going to get 25 cents or 30 cents per CD sale. So it's a lot more enticing to them. So I provide an avenue for them to get in and record, and they provide an avenue for me too, because it's talent. The main thing you need to make it in this business is you got to have, I don't care how good your equipment is or how good your talent is as an engineer or producer, the songs have got to be there. You've got to have talented songwriters. If the material's not there, it doesn't matter what else. Anything else doesn't matter. It's all stems from the material. So they provide the material for me, and I provide the avenue for them to get it out.
Well, that's good.
Everything pretty much industry standard in recording is Pro Tools. So everyone's got a Pro Tools system. People bring me files to mix that were done in other studios. They're generally Pro Tools files.
Yeah.
So work on a Pro Tools platform. Today, like I said, boards like this years ago were like, you couldn't touch a board like this for like $20,000, $30,000.
Yeah.
Now, geez, I mean, there's no, the entry barrier is gone. So we're in a digital age. This console, I mean, it's equivalent to like, it's like a mini SSL, really. It does everything an SSL console does. SSL consoles used to be about $500,000 to get an SSL console. So you really don't need much to get started. Here's the main thing I tell people is, I don't care if you're working in your bedroom or if you're working in a $1 million studio, put me in a bedroom with a basic computer system, give me the basic tools I need, and I don't care how expensive the studio that somebody else is in. If I'm a better engineer than you are, I'm going to get better results on that small little $500 system than they're going to get on their $500,000 system. So really today it's a day, it's your knowledge now. There's people that just want to learn like one specific element, and there's other people that need to learn the whole thing. So I broke the course down into 5 sections. Each course is $1,200.
Okay.
Like I said, if you go through the entire course within 6 months, I'll give you all the tools you need to succeed. Stuff that you're not going to find in books and things like that. I'll teach you what you need to know, but then it's a matter of you having your own setup, your own workstation, and applying it. You can't come in and do this stuff. Like, you can't come into class and sit here and learn for 3 hours, 4 hours, and then go home and don't do anything and come back the next week. You've got to, every day you've got to be on your workstation for like an hour or 2 hours.
Okay.
So a lot's going to fall on you as far as, like I said, I'll give you the tools, you've got to apply it. And that's the only way people would fall off the wagon is if I give you the tools and you don't work with it, I can't help you. You've got to want to do it yourself.
Yeah.
You've got to be creative and push yourself. The more you do, the more things become second nature to you with this stuff.
Yes.
Is isolation. Okay, and that's why $1 million studios are $1 million studios. Is a lot of their expense went into actually proper sound isolation, soundproofing, building walls so that you don't have parallel walls and things like that. So, yeah, that's the big expense we'll go to a studio is isolation, and that's the main reason. What I did is I had a guy come in. I soundproofed the outside walls myself. I had a gentleman come in and build a 4-inch solid cinder block room. So it's a room within a room.
Wow.
To isolate everything, and there's insulation in between the walls. But you've got to have isolation. But you can't be recording in here and hear a truck come by. Well, wait a minute, we need to redo that vocal because the truck just came by. No, that doesn't work. So I mean, if you want to be professional, you got to have the space. You got to have the isolation. So stay away from acoustic foam. If you want to have any kind of isolation and absorption, go get the Owens Corning 703. The stuff's actually very reasonably priced. Go get yourself some material, cheap material, $1 a yard, $2 a yard, cover it up. Basically, what you want to do is, if you put a panel over here in a room, put an opposite panel over here to match it. But basically what that'll do is, that'll take away what they call like flutter echoes. Flutter echoes are that high frequency pitch where if you clap, do you ever go in like a stairwell and you clap or something, you hear that like boing, like a
Yeah.
That's called a flutter echo.
Oh.
And you'll get that in some rooms, basically. The problem with a flutter echo is, if somebody's playing an instrument, and they hit that instrument, and that resonant tone from that instrument happens to be where that flutter echo is, you're gonna hear it in your recording. You're gonna hear like this very hollow stairwell sound, like that flutter echo. So you gotta basically try and suck up as much sound as you can. You don't want sound, especially in a small room, you don't want sound bouncing off your walls. You want to cut down to the B3 condenser mic. Usually on vocals, you always want to use condenser mics. There's the 2 main families of microphones. There's many, but the 2 main are dynamic microphones that you'll use on instruments like guitars and bass and stuff like that. But usually in a vocal, you want to use a condenser microphone, and that's a condenser mic.
Okay. 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 Thanks for having us out, Al, and
Thank you for coming.
I enjoyed myself, and the studio was off the chain.
Appreciate that.
And for anybody who's interested, Al, you can give your information.
Sure, you can get a hold of me. I got a website, or feel free to give me a call directly. Call me on my cell, 610-717-2091, and I'll be happy to talk to you. Or, like I said, even if you need some general information, feel free to give me a buzz, and I'll tell you what I know.
Okay. This is Al, and we closing out live footage. Peace.